This is the Marginally Geeky Show, the Epically Geeky Book Club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by most of the usual cast, Ray, Chris, Sean, and Joseph. And our special guest for the evening is Ravensdagger. How are you doing, sir?
Not bad, not bad.
Excellent, excellent. So glad we got you on here. We were talking before the show. It was kind of a chance thing that happened. Someone had posted, they're like, oh, that was a good show that when we reviewed Dead Tired, and was like, you should have the author on. And we're like, okay, yes, absolutely. We would love to, because we all enjoyed Dead Tired so much.
I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy a mysterious person. Actually, I told everybody it was my mom. She's like, no, hey, look, they're talking about you. It's like, all right, I'll see if, shoot my shot. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. I was just going to do a quick introduction. Ravens, for anyone who's watching this that doesn't know who you are, because we've actually got quite a few people watching. I posted in a litrpg group on Facebook, and I was like, wow, there's like 17 people waiting for this show to start. Like, we don't normally have that many people. So everyone in the chat, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will be highlighting some of them as we go through. Ravensdagger is a rather, and I'm using this is his writing, so everyone don't look weird at me. Ravensdagger is a rather prolific, though not proficient, writer of all sorts of fiction. He caters to those who look for an entertaining read and who do not mind the occasional bit of absurdist humor in their stories, and hopes that the pretty things his words do make you happy. I think that's an excellent way to describe yourself, sir, because I've read 2 series now. Well, not completely, but I've greatly enjoyed your writing.
Oh, thank you. I have to ask now, what have you read? I know you guys read Dead Tired.
So I've done all 3 books of Dead Tired. I think everyone else has.
Okay. Working my way through it.
Okay. And then I've done the first 3 books of Cat Strut.
Ooh, okay.
So
that's on my list too. That's coming up.
Gosh.
Yeah, I've got some questions on that one. So, but yeah, so past projects, I'm going to kind of relist some of the stuff here, but past projects, Dead Tired, Cat Strut, Magical Girl Crystal Genecide, Cinnamon Bun, Fluff, Spormageddon. Is it Agatha Loop?
Gartha Loop.
Agartha Loop. Okay. I wasn't sure if there was an extra R in there or so. I mistyped it. I was like,
no, you're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. First off, that's 7 series. Like, none of these are and then they've got another series, one that looks like it's coming up that's going to be a series.
Oh, you're missing like 5 from that list.
Yeah, and like I'm just like, this is not even the complete list. I'm like, wow.
I've been in the publishing like a lit RPG sphere for about 5-6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm up to 30 books.
Wow.
I have 12 books coming out this year, in 2026.
Oh my God.
That sounds really impressive, but it's like a backlog from 2024. There's like 3 books from 2024 that didn't come out in 25 when they were supposed to, and then there's books from 2025 that were pushed back, and then the books that were supposed to come out this year. So it looks really impressive, like 12 books in 1 year. Wow. But no, it's like 3 years of work squished together.
That is still impressive.
That's still impressive.
Yeah.
It's my job. Yay. But no, I take actually like focused writing somewhat seriously. I wake up, I write, I go to bed. So it's it's something I put a lot of effort into creating a lot of content and writing a lot of stories. And it's what I did for fun before it became my job. So it's just like I feel like I'm very privileged to be where I am right now, where I can just do the thing I like doing for fun as a means of making money to live and support myself and do what I want to do.
Absolutely.
So when I retire, I'm going to write a book or 2. So that's kind of my long-term plan there.
Sounds like a good plan. Well, you've already kind of touched on a little bit, but when and how did you get started writing?
I published my first book when I was 19, which is a long time ago now, it feels like. It was really bad. Please don't look it up. It is awful. I've done everything I can to bury it. Like really no, I see that. Like, put that down. No. It was like really awful. It was really quite bad. But I started writing when I was high school-ish. I loved reading. It was just the thing I did that was fun. It was my pastime a lot of the time. I read voraciously through most of my life, and at some point I was like, hey, I want this thing to exist, and it doesn't, and nobody's done it, so I'll do it myself. And it was bad. But eventually I did another thing, and it was also bad. But then I did another and it was also there was a lot of bad, and eventually it got to being not that bad, and that's pretty much where I am now. Eventually I might get to the point where it's all right. We'll see in a few years. No, but it's been a gradual process. I started writing a lot of. I started with original fiction, but I dipped into fan fiction for a while. Mm-hmm. And in the fan fiction world, it's very similar to the web serial world of today, where Royal Road and like the litrpg progression fantasy world, where you publish by chapter instead of by book, and the pace of writing is significantly faster. So for 7-8 years, I wrote lots of fan fiction. And I kind of got used to that pace. And when I shifted back from fan fiction to original fiction, I just kept that pace going, not really knowing that it wasn't the normal standard speed at which you write. Like my usual 1 million words a year is normal in the fan fiction world. It's not normal in the publishing world.
You say 1 million words? Did you say that?
Well, yeah, that's like a 1 million words per year on average.
Wow.
I've slowed down significantly in the last year. I think I only hit like 800K. But that, like last year I made my own board game, my own TTRPG, and that sucked up like a big chunk of time, and editing and like video stuff. And now I have like conventions and stuff that like there's a lot of things that eat up your time, which is unfortunate because I like writing, and I don't like editing. So you know. The natural consequences of my action, you know.
Oh man, like, so do you sleep at all? Wow.
My Discord plotted it once, which is really bad. But I wake up about an hour later every day, and I go to bed about an hour later every day, which is really quite awful. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's quite awful. But I basically go to bed when I'm tired. Mm-hmm. I have terrible insomnia all the time. So I go to bed when I'm tired, and I'll sleep until I'm not tired, that's really nice. That's preem. And then I wake up when I'm not tired. So it's like, hey, I'm not tired. So I'm just going to work for the next 16 hours or so. And then I'll be tired again, and I'll go back to bed. So my sleep schedule is a mess. It's very messy.
According to Bronze Monarchy, it's not Raven's Discord, it's our Discord.
Communism. Let's go. All right, cool.
When you're dead tired. Okay, so let me go and jump into that one real quick. So we found like when we were interviewing Justin Thomas James, or we were going to interview Justin Thomas James, we were like, hey, we need to go find book series that he's read on. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the one that I picked right offhand, but Ray and Chris picked a book called Dead Tired. Mm-hmm. And
so this all happened.
Yeah, and so they're like, you need to listen to this book. It's fantastic. You're going to love Harold. And I'm like, okay. And so I read it, and then immediately read book 2, and then immediately read book 3. And yeah, like that's how it kind of picked up. So let's talk a little bit about Dead Tired.
All right, sure.
So what was your inspiration for this?
Oh, okay. This is one of those things I don't want to say it, but I'll be truthful with you guys anyway. Spite. I should admit it. Like what I generally do when I'm starting a new series is that I'll be inspired by something. I'll watch a movie. I'll play a game. I'll read a bunch of books very voraciously, and I'll be like, hey, I want to write this. I want to do this thing, and I want to play in this playground. I started reading a bunch of cultivation novels, and I really don't like them. There's some that I don't mind. Beware a Chicken is probably my favorite at the bunch. But there's some like Cradle, and like they're good. The writing is solid, but the tropes of the world, I don't like them. The kind of like the attitude of the characters, the young master, there's a lot of attitude stuff that I like. I don't. It doesn't. It's my Canadian sensibilities. I think that they're just like everybody's against everybody. Everybody's challenging everybody. And it's like I'm not super fond of this. So I decide, hey, I'm going to write something out of spite. So I wrote the first Dead Tired over, I think it was 60 days. And I just published it on Royal Road, just like, yeah, whatever. And people really liked it. It did really well. I got a lot of followers and everything. And yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll write a second. And then I wrote a third one. And then the book kind of languished there for a long time until a friend of mine, Selkie Myth, he's the owner of Manga Media. He approached me one day and he was like, hey, I started this new publishing company. It's great. I got all the paperwork done. I done this, that. He's like, I have no books. Like I know a bunch of authors, but none of them have anything they'd be willing to give me. So I was like, well, I have Dead Tired. It's been sitting there. Books 1 and 2 are done. I was like, do you want that? And just on Royal Road. It's not edited. It's not prepped. It's not nothing. But I didn't have any intentions to actually publish Dead Tired. And he was like, all right, I need books. So I gave it to him, and Dead Tired did absurdly well for like the first book published by this new company. The worst thing is we didn't have a contract or anything. It was just like, here's the file. And he was like, all right, cool. He went and did it. And then afterwards it was like, hey, we made like a lot of money and we never agreed on percentages or anything. We just like went and did it. And my lawyers are telling me that's bad. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it's okay, cool. So we hashed out, like, he had a contract by then. I actually got like a really good. I haven't had any other books with like that good of a royalty percentage. And so yeah, that was just like a really, like, it just worked out really well for me. It worked out well for Selkie. And then the audiobook, I don't know how I got it onto Soundbooth's radar. I genuinely don't know how I did that. I got lucky, I guess. And then Justin was like, hey, I'll do the audio for it. And I was like, okay, cool. And Soundbooth Theater are by far the best for audio. I've worked with other audio companies that are quite good. They're very professional. They're very fun to work with. But Soundbooth, they treat it like more like an art form. Yes. Which is a bit different than how the others treat it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
That's awesome.
I forgot your original question. I just like
no, that's
you're good.
all right.
I was going to jump in there and just say, spite can create some beautiful things and some amazing things because we're really out of spite. So,
well, wait a second.
It's just the way it works.
I was gonna say, so what I mean, the only two series that I've done so far is Dead Tired and Stray Cat Strut. Are all of your books lit RPG or
no? Let me count them off on my head. Stray Cat Strut is barely a lit RPG, but I say it is because it's good for marketing. Dead Tired is also barely a lit RPG. There are definitely lit RPG elements in it. There's like stat screens, and the underlying magic system is definitely lit RPG, except it's broken. So it is by a technicality. Then I have my like hard lit RPGs, which are the ones where like actual stats and numbers. Spormageddon is extremely crunchy. That was me trying to write something that was like lots of stats, lots of numbers. You got the cover. Fantastic. I love that cover. Yeah, so Spormageddon, everybody's favorite eco-terrorist doing horrible things and leveling up while doing it. Very crunchy. Fluff is also a lit RPG, kind of lighter, but it's a superhero story more than anything else. But there's definitely levels. You have the covers for everything. Yeah, you're just really well prepared.
I'm getting better.
You're on the ball. Like, man, all right.
Listen to him. He's being nice to me.
There you go. All right, let me toss out some like less common ones maybe. Well, Cinnamon Bun is also a lit RPG. That's very wholesome. It's very quiet. The main character, I'm still waiting for the cover. Yeah, there you go. All right, Cinnamon Bun, the main character doesn't interact too much with the lit RPG aspects because she doesn't care. But it is like a lit RPG world. I explore. That story is very strong on world building. So cities, economies, agriculture, how a lit RPG system affects different races and different fantasy races, and how these things build up towards something like a society and how that functions, and the main character interacts with all of this quite a bit. So that's like a deep exploration of that part of a lit RPG system, although it is very fluffy and wholesome. So those ones are my more hardcore. There's more numbers, and then Stray Cat Strut and Dead Tired on the softer side. A lot of my other works have a lot of progression elements, but they don't all have lit RPG elements.
Because we've read a couple of different books, and because we've noticed, we're like, what is some of the? Because we've read some series that are just like, it says it's lit RPG, but I'm like, it just barely kind of touches on it, and I'm like, is this a genre that is very open, and they're just like, well, the rules are kind of loosey goosey as long as it kind of hits a couple of things.
There's no predefined system. There's some that are like Dead Tired uses the D&D-ish system where there's like tiers of magic and schools and everything else. And there's a lot of series that base themselves off of D&D because the authors played D&D and they're inspired by that, which is cool. That's fantastic. So you have that, but there's no strict, like, hey, I'm going to write a lit RPG. I'm going to go download system.exe and use that for my book. Like, you have to make it as you go. So authors tend to interpret how that works for themselves. And per the book you're writing, depending on the style and genres that you're incorporating into story, you're going to change how you build your system, or at least you should. I've seen lit RPGs where it's very clunky. It's like you didn't need to have levels or classes, or like it doesn't fit in the story, or it doesn't add anything to story, so they didn't need to. I have a book coming out this month, Heart of Dorkness, where while writing the second book, I realized that the lit RPG system was adding nothing to it. So the version that's coming out doesn't have the lit RPG system at all. I excised it. I removed it completely, which was quite a bit of work to go back to the beginning and remove like every leveling thing and all the stats pages and like ripping all that out. But they didn't do anything for the plot. They were just kind of there. Hey, the character leveled up. All right, cool, I guess. But the main character wasn't there for the progression, wasn't there for the level up, so it didn't add anything to the story. So you kind of have that kind of dichotomy there, where some lit RPGs are very hard or kind of crunchy, as the word that a lot of authors use, and then you have the softer ones where there's numbers. Occasionally the numbers increase, and then you have like pure progression fantasy, which is not all lit RPG is progression fantasy, but not all progression fantasy is lit RPG. And some progression fantasy has numbers in it, but they're not necessarily a lit RPG. So take that as you will.
Fair enough. Real quick, so that I can keep going with the chat, I didn't want to lose this comment. Your April Fool's joke this year hit too close to home, although would be hilarious to see a sample for each of those ideas. What's going on there?
April Fool's is my favorite holiday of the year, like bar none. Gosh, I made this April Fool's joke this year where I said, hey, because of political reasons, I am making certain changes to some of my stories to bring them in line with the current times. So Cinnamon Bun is now going to be renamed Cinnamon Gun, and the main character is now going to be an American instead of a Canadian, and she's going to shoot people instead of making friends. Like, and I kind of went through like all of my different series, and I was like, well, Safe's coming. The main character is no longer horny. And then like this story, so each story that I'm actively writing and publishing, I think Dead Tired is going to be renamed Alive Tired. Harold is just dead, Just dead. He's not a lich. The limpet ends up working at a bar, and Mem becomes the main character, and she becomes the member of mankind.
Oh my god!
So like it was just like a stupid like one thing for each story, and like the changes that I was going to bring them in line to modernize my stories.
Nice.
So it was quite silly, but it was fun. I love April Fools. I didn't put too much effort into it this year, but some years I really go hard.
I used to love April Fools when Think Geek was a thing, and then when GameStop bought them and basically killed it off, I've been bitter ever since. So, in fact, I made a shirt. We have a shirt on our site that is using the quote from Star Trek that says, "I've never trusted GameStop and I never will. I'll never forgive them for the death of Think Geek." So, I get a lot of thumbs up on that one too, because a lot of people are like, "Yeah, I remember Think Geek. That was awesome." But it was always April 1st. Their fun set they used to do. So,
just a quick question about. So you were talking about the litrpg and some other kind of genres. So, is there a genre you haven't done yet that you'd be interested in doing?
I haven't done yet. I've done romance. That was fun. I want to do horror, but I feel like I have a through line across all my series. Okay, I'm going to back up a step, and I'll come back to answer your question in a second. I'm very sorry, just how it's going to work out. I feel like authors generally, to do well as an author, not as a writer, but as an author, you kind of need another underlying theme, right? So if I say like a Stephen King, in your mind you're thinking like horror writer, he writes horror stuff. You wouldn't think romance. So when he wrote romance, he did it under a different pen name, right? Because his audience would pick up the book, and even no matter the quality of the book, it wouldn't be what they expected from that author. I kind of have that issue now, where I developed a theme throughout my stories that I'm really happy with it, and it's generally that like the good guys win, good things happen to good people. There's generally like a wholesome kind of happy vibe to my stories, and I'm very happy with that. It makes me happy to write, and people that read it are generally happy. So like, hey, thumbs up, right? That's fun. I think to do a good horror story, I would have to ditch that, and I don't know if I want to. So it's one of those things where I kind of want to touch on it. Also, there's Natalie Thundermoo, who's another author in our sphere, who does this like beautiful horror stories that are like deep psychological horror. I've read her stories; they're really good. I could not do better than her. So, like, all right, I can't beat that. So why bother, right? Which isn't the best, but yeah, unless it's told from the horror's perspective. I did write a book called Love Crafted, which was one weird experimental story told in second person. So you are this horrifying tentacle monster. And that was a very fun book to write, but also very cute, fluffy, but kind of horrific. Also very, very like absurdist type of humor. Deploy the pretentacles and break causality and do weird stuff, and like it was a interactive story that I wrote. It was originally an interactive story, and I edited it back into something a bit more normal. So I have a bit of experience with that kind of stuff, but it's one of those genres that I'd like to do one day, but maybe under a different pen name. I think it would be more appropriate.
Fair enough. I mean, we laugh a lot at Harold's antics in Dead Tired, and he's doing some horrific stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of it is also funny. He's just like throwing the lippet constantly in the the water or whatever. But it's just like, oh well, you're all dead, and let's move on, and hey, can you go make more soldiers for me out of the dead? And they're like, yeah, cool, it's fine, whatever. And you're just like, okay, this is horrible, but also awesome. So
you get away with a lot with what is it? Protagonist-centered morality. You can get away with so much with that in stories. It's kind of crazy. But as long as you're funny and the characters are endearing, you can get away with a lot of weird, horrible stuff. When you stop and you're like, wait, that's really messed up.
Speaking of laughing with Harold, did you have a hard time writing the tiers or levels of necromancers when 17 was explaining it to the limpet.
The boners.
I had to listen.
Oh, man.
I stopped laughing.
That was so funny.
Oh god, I vaguely remember I was writing that chapter live on my Discord, and I was like, all right, we need names for these, and like this, that, and then I think I can't remember if I came up with Boner or one of the readers was like, Boner should be a rank, and I was like, all right, that's horrible, that's bad, but it was funny, so let's go and like let's work it out. I've had a lot of fun with a lot of these like just god awful puns, and sometimes I have these puns on standby, and it's like, oh, I opened a document, I just add a bunch of puns, and it's like, okay, I'll come back to this one day, or I'll shoehorn it in, which is why so many of the puns that Harold used don't, like, they barely fit, and then he just goes, oh, that's me. I have a bad pun. It doesn't fit, but it might if you squint, and I'll just shove it in there, and then it's like, all right, let's go.
Gort says, if you wrote a story under a pseudonym pen name, would you do it completely anonymously, or would you let your fans know it's you?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it would depend on the story. If it's something that like I know some of my readers would appreciate, and then yeah, it'd be like, hey, I'm writing this thing under a different name. I think that would be fine. If it's something that I think most of my readers wouldn't appreciate, then I'd probably not. If I was writing something like fully contemporary and like it was like political, I would probably not make it a contest. Cameo, nice.
Make him a cameo. I mean, pretty easy contest to be like, hey, your name's gonna be in the book. Cool. I mean, I would go out for that. So.
Yeah. I've done that a few times. A lot of characters in like Stray Cat Strut are cameos of like editors and people that helped. I think the next book that's coming out soon, there's I went to DragonCon last year, and there's a woman that dressed as Cat from Stray Cat Strut. I was like,
really?
I was like so impressed by like really like genuinely nice costume, like 3D printed parts and like the whole thing. I was like, oh, cool. So I wrote her and all her friends into the 8th volume as like this person that kicked people in the nuts. Part of a gang called the Nut Kickers or something like that. It was a weird. Stray Cat Strut gets weird, but yeah, I love doing that kind of cameo. It's like it doesn't cost me too much to do it, and it's just really cool if you're the person getting in the cameo. It's like, oh wow, like I'm in here. Yeah, that's always fun.
That's fun.
Let's see. Go on.
I was going to ask you. So just chatting back about Dead Tired real quick. Have you tried the cookies at the end of the book?
Oh yeah, no. JTJ approached me. He was like, "Hey, the book ends on like this number of hours, but we know sales are much better if it's like 5 minutes longer and it goes like over that 1 hour mark. So we need like, do you have anything that's like, can you like lengthen a chapter?" I was like, I don't really feel like doing that. And he's like, can you like write like an epilogue thing? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. So I wrote. I think that day I had made those cookies. So I was like, well, I was eating them as we were talking. So I was like, well, I mean, all right. I might just write I had it open on my second monitor. The recipe was still there. So I was like, okay, let's go. Let's just do that. And all right. I'm still waiting for somebody to make me those cookies. They were actually really good. They're my favorite. So, anybody listening in, you want to get me fatter, let's go.
Well, if you're okay with it, we may try and serve them here someday.
Let's go. Alex's recipe for peanut butter, definitely not stolen off some random recipe site online. No.
Absolutely not. No.
They didn't list love as an ingredient. So
that's true. Did you have a goal with any of your books?
A goal with any of You're gonna have to elaborate on that one.
Like, did you set out with any of them and you're just like, this is kind of what the idea, the purpose, something like that? Or was it, was there anything that you were just like, I kind of want to get across the idea that, hey, don't be an asshole, something.
Okay. Yes. So for example, like that actually happens quite often. So Cinnamon Bun was my first big lot RPG. At the time, I had read a bunch of them, and this is way back in 2017, I think. I had just read Azeroth Healer by Rhaegar, and I was quite fond of it. I liked it a lot, and I was like, I want more of this. So I started reading like all the big lit RPGs at a time, and there weren't as many of them back then. So I read pretty much like all the big ones, and I recognized a bunch of through lines and tropes that I just didn't like, and I was like, I don't like these like common tropes where the main character is kind of an ass and the main character focuses on combat skills all the time, and the main character gets really strong with like cheaty powers, and it's like this feels kind of cheesy. So I made a list of all those tropes, and then I wrote with the opposite on like the opposite side of that list. I was like, okay, can I make a story that is the exact opposite of all of these? So the main character is a young woman instead of a young man. The main character doesn't fight much. Her goal is to make friends, not to become enemies. She doesn't care about the main quest. Like we're 9 books in and she hasn't touched it. She like her goal is to travel the world and make friends and meet people and see cool things and eat different food. And she doesn't care about becoming stronger. Her cheat power, because you need a cheat power, is cleaning. She has the cleaning skill. It's at S rank. It's quite strong. She's really good at cleaning things. Like it's really quite low stakes, very silly. Trying to solve every problem by talking through it, and not just waving your big sword and flashing fireballs all over the place. And so like, yeah, it turned out to be a really fun story to write as well, just because, if I'm stuck somewhere, I can just always ask myself, well, what would a lit RPG protagonist do? And what's the opposite of that? And I just go with that. So yeah, that's quite a bit of fun. But yeah,
okay. You brought up something, and it's something that we've pointed out there are lots of book series that we've read on this show that we love, and it's because of exactly what you just explained. We love stories where even if the character is super powered, they prefer to talk or think their way through the problem. So I think that's one of the reasons why Dead Tower like hit all of us so much, and we really enjoyed it, is because it's like, yeah, Harold could just go through and just decimate everything, but he's just like, no, he'd rather talk it. He'd rather talk through it if he can. So
I don't know if it's like the Canadian thing, but
I
feel like
gonna make a Canadian note of it yet.
Yeah, few miles north. I almost said kilometers. Just come on, healthcare. Ooh,
Yeah, really.
Dangling, like keys. No. But I do like it in my stories where characters talk through their problems and try to solve things. I've written somewhere that's very much not the case. Like you've read a bit of Cat Strut. Shooting the mayor on live television isn't talking through your problems.
yes,
in fact, it's kind of the opposite. It kind of makes more problems. But that story has a lot more political commentary going on in it than some of my other works. So yeah, I prefer a story where characters take a creative approach to things and try to solve things without violence. But at the same time, I will acknowledge that solving everything through gratuitous violence is also very fun. At least in stories.
Yes.
Let's preface that.
Video games.
And video games. Yeah, exactly.
We have a question. Have any unexpected twists changed the story as you were writing the stories?
It's happened a few times, and I wish I was smarter so I could think of a good example off the top of my head. But no, I have had stories where like a pun or something will just like nail, like, oh, that, or like a good twist on the story will be like, oh, this could have happened instead. Oh crap, now I have to like change a bunch of the details and then refigure out my whole plan and rework the story for a bit. Off the top of my head, Cinnamon Bun's first book was supposed to end like 4 chapters before it does. Except there's a scene where, very, very minor spoiler, like the main plot of the first book is done. The main characters are traveling from one area to another area, and they're in a flying ship. And they're flying towards a hangar that's built into the side of this big, large, like a massive cliff that has like these huge holes, and their ship is like falling apart. The engine's blown up. Typical protagonist stuff is going on. Everything is falling apart, and the captain of the ship points towards the hangar and says, "We're going to go there." And then the main character's like in the cliffhanger, and he's like, "Yeah, one way or another, this is ending in a cliffhanger," and that's the last sentence of the book. And I'm very proud of that. I'm thank you. And I deserve that accolade. No, it was like such a bad pun and such a terrible way to end the book that I was like, I can't not. It's just perfect. So I stretched the book out in 4 chapters just to end it on that one sentence. And of course that throws everything off for the next book, because now it starts with the. Anyway, I had to rewrite the start of the second book a little bit to make it fit. But yeah, it threw off the pacing a bit. But fine, it was fine. It was worth it for the joke. Oftentimes that's what ends up happening. It's like, oh, I should do this thing, and then I just go off on this tangent and do the thing. It's backfired a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have read Dead Tired. Dead Tired was supposed to be 5 books long, except in the 3rd book, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And I went off to do this, and it ended up taking the entire book. And I was like, oh, it's not going to end in 5 books because I just wasted this entire book on this other thing that wasn't part of the plan. Oops. And now I'm on book 4, and I'm about a third of the way through. And I did the same thing again because I'm an idiot. And it's like, oh, hey, what if we had like a tournament arc? I love tournament arc. Tournament arcs are cool, except you can't have Harold participate in a tournament. He just, why would he? Why would he?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a tournament arc that is hosted by Harold and the Limpet. So I'd never seen that written before. Whereas like, hey, I love tournament arcs. They're cool. You see characters progressing. There's like brackets, and there's like the fights, and it's like you get a voiceover. I got Jeff Hayes to agree to do the announcer for the tournament. So I was like, yeah, great. Fantastic. So there's a guy called Jeff the Bard now who's it's just Jeff.
Nice.
And he's the announcer for the tournament. It's like, okay, cool. So now I have this entire tournament arc. This is not progressing the plot of the book. Like the series like does not need a tournament arc in the middle of book 4. It serves no purpose for the greater narrative, but it's cool, and I get to introduce a bunch of characters. And one of the really nice things about writing a web serial is that you post a chapter and you get audience feedback right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I can introduce a bunch of characters and just kill off the ones that the audience doesn't care about, which is not great. I probably should be saying this. But the ones that the audience like get to win the tournament, and then they get to live on in the next book. So
Nice.
yeah.
Another question from the chat. Have you ever fought with your characters over what they're going to do in the story and lost?
Ooh. Evil Antagonist gave me so much trouble as a main character. Evil Antagonist is the main character of The Complicated Love Life of Evil Antagonist. And give me a moment. Yes, that's her. I'm noticing that my webcam is slowly tilting. All right, we're good.
It's
All
just Harold's messing with it.
It's just either my building is sinking on one side, or but yes, The Complicated Love Life of Evil Antagonist is a very, very silly comedy, inspired by Warhammer 40K.
Okay.
Imagine if the Emperor was like, "Hey, I should get married." It's really dumb. It's really quite stupid. But the main character is like impossibly powerful, and wants romance, and wants love, and wants like all the tropes that come with that. And this character fought me throughout the entire book because not I want to move the plot forward, and it's like, well, what does the character want to do in this scene? Well, the character wants to spend the next 4 or 5 years like kissing,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe staying on the couch, and from the start, like from the onset, it's a known fact. Well, it's a hidden fact in the world, but like the world governments know that the main character is obsessed with Spanish soap operas, and when you have a character who can destroy planets, that is a very big threat and they really like Spanish soap operas, you give them Spanish soap operas, and you just give them a lot. And she's caught up with every season of every show, and she's like up to date with all of them. And it's like, what does the character want to do in this scene? Well, she wants to go back to her couch and watch the next episode of L'amour de whatever. And, okay, great. Okay, cool. No, you have to like shove the character forward to like, no, there's a plot. Go over there and do it. And it's like a complete fight throughout that entire story, but very fun to write. But it gives. There's a reason you don't want to have characters that are too powerful. They have too many options. It's why the little orphan kid character is so great. Like, well, they're kind of screwed. They don't have a choice if you put them in a situation where they don't have a choice. They'll just have to do the thing that's relevant for the plot. So yeah, I've had some characters that fought me.
Almost sounds like you need like a little time envelope or something like that you could throw the main character in and make him do whatever the hell you want for years, and then pull him back out.
No, terrible, terrible idea. I've written 2 time loop stories so far, and they're both nightmares to plot.
Oh no, not time loop. I absolutely hate time travel, time loops. Crap, just a closet.
Just a closet, like
just a closet that's out of time. Go in there, watch an entire series of Survivor, something like that. Come out, and no time's passed outside.
Fair. I could use one of those.
We all could.
Oh yeah, I hate time loop. Any time travel crap.
Oh really? Oh. I won't pitch you on my save scumming. Then you might not like it.
I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Anytime those episodes came up, just no.
I love time loop stories, but they're
tricky.
They're not
too
tricky.
easy to screw up.
They're hard to write, especially if you don't. It's stupid, but like if you write a scene, and like this is getting to a little bit mechanical stuff, but like this character has this item is described this way, this event happens, and then this other thing happens. Like you don't really need to think about it because like you're just flowing through. But the moment you introduce a time loop and you go back, you need to have every one of those little details be accurate to the way they were portrayed the first time in the same order. And the causality for every one of them needs to be understood by you, the author. So if an item falls down and distracts a character once, well, you have to remember that happened. And you have to remember like why it happened and like everything that led up to it happening. So it becomes this Rube Goldberg machine of like just hundreds of elements. And then every loop is like recursive. And you add like a significant layer of complication to everything. And there's also like character relationships which are like erased every time it loops back. Save scumming, the story I'm writing now, I've cheated a lot where the character has a save point where they set the point and then they can go back to that point. So it's only like ever like a few hours of time looping. So it's like, I'm going to go through this conversation 3 times until I'm going to show it 3 times. I'm going to tell the reader it's happened 15 times. And at the end, it's like, okay, they got through a conversation perfectly. Okay, cool. Now they put a new save point. But as the author, I don't need to keep track of like weeks or months or however long worth of like very precise details. And that makes it possible to write. But like complex time loops are just such a nightmare. Yeah, they're just not enjoyable. The amount of sticky tack and strings, and you look like you're insane trying to plot them out.
That's such a good time.
It can be. It's really fun to read, is the thing. Yes. Like a well done time loop is just really enjoyable. I wrote a few time related things, and they can they're enjoyable to write to some degree. With save scumming, I tried to distill the parts that I like the most and like try to chuck out all the parts I didn't like. So in that story, you usually have the character like setting out to do something. You see them preparing to do it. You see them preparing like across a few loops and then trying to experience that thing themselves. And then you see from another character's perspective as they do the thing correctly. So they look a little bit insane as they walk into a place to do a thing and they like sidestep every trap. But you know that they accidentally set off every one of those traps in previous loops. But from a character who is not in the loop, this person's just walking and saying and shooting and like doing Lucky Luke tricks and doing all sorts of crazy things and like pulling out of a situation looking like insanely lucky. And it's like, oh, well, that person's kind of weird, but they're scary, and like how competent they are. And then you see the character working to become that competent, and they're just not. They're very incompetent. They're just bashing their face against the wall like a moron until something works. But like that's very satisfying to read, and it's very fun. But yeah, it time stuff in stories is always a mess.
That's fair.
Fair
So,
enough.
quick question, because you kind of mentioned it there as well. You discussed about how you got into, the way you write is you kind of didn't like certain aspects, or you didn't like certain stories, and so you wrote your own. Dennis C. Taylor kind of said the same thing. He had his wife actually challenge him where he was complaining about a book, and she said like, okay, well then you write it then. And she obviously he did. So was there somebody in your life that challenged you to start writing your own stuff?
No, not directly, not like that. I think it was sometimes it was generally like spite or like this thing happens in these stories and I don't like that and I would like to see it differently. Some stories that I wrote with challenges were like the first book of Swarmageddon. I was like, I want to see if I can write and publish a book in under 30 days. And it took me 31, I think. So from start to book on Amazon was 31 days.
Wow.
And that was like a challenge to see like, well, how fast can I push myself? Like how far can I go? But yeah, those kinds of challenges are very fun. They don't lend themselves well to long-term plotting because it's like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing. It's in and out, quick and done. But then the book ends open and now people want a sequel and you didn't plan that far ahead. It's like, right. Oof. Okay. So yeah, that's very tricky. Oh my gosh, people are saying a lot of stuff.
I'm trying to get caught up because I know people want to see their comments and stuff.
Yeah. I saw somebody mention names, dragons, and Cinnamon Bun.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that. I was like, there's some questions on here that I'm being told we have to ask, and that was one of them. Is what is the deal with the dragons and Cinnamon Bun? We apparently need to know this.
They just have normal dragon names. Don't worry about it.
I trust that. But okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm planning on. You've already sold me on the book, so I guess I'll find out and tell everyone else if they don't get it. I was going to say you've done a very good job this evening of selling your books because
let's go.
I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like something I would read. So,
yep.
And I was going to say that, Sean, Futurama did it right. Which one was it? Was it Bender's Game? The
Futurama just did everything they tried to do right.
Yeah, the time loop on that was so insane. And then, of course, you find out it was like, oh, yeah, every one of the writers is a PhD. And it's just like, of course. Why would they not be?
Oh, yeah, they had it all mapped out. Roswell that ends well when he becomes his own grandfather was just...
Yeah, that was insane.
But
you've talked a little bit about your writing process. Where, like, do you have like a specific location that you do your writing? Do you just like write wherever you're at, or
on the desk right there?
Okay.
Sometimes on my laptop. I've done it on my phone. Don't advise that one. The keyboard's really small.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not really. I've done a lot of writing. I had a picture of my first writing setup on my Discord, and people keep bringing it up. I wish they wouldn't. But I had like a plank with two things and like a stack of books, and it was just big enough for my keyboard. And then I had a TV like kind of nailed to the wall as a monitor, and that was what I wrote on, and that was fine. And like in terms of like place, I think whatever, like I'm fine with that. But like as for process, I have a very difficult time writing 2 chapters of the same story 2 days in a row.
Okay.
oh, wow.
I can't do that. I need time to think, to like let a story settle and percolate and figure it out. Even if it's something I'm really excited about, I generally can't write 2 chapters back to back. I can, but it's exponentially more difficult. If it takes me 3 hours to write a chapter, the second chapter will take me 6, even if it's the next day. and that 3-hour space, I could have done 2 chapters of some 2 other stories. So generally, what I end up doing is I usually write 7 books at the same time, so that I'm writing a different story every day of the week. And I usually do 2 chapters a day, back to back of 2 different works. So I just kind of work it out so there's no repeats of the same story. And that works out for me. Recently, I've been like cutting back, so I only do like 1 chapter a day for 3 days a week, and the other 4 days I do double chapters. But that's like because I'm working on other projects. It sounds impressive, but my chapters are, keep in mind that they're web serial chapters, so they're much shorter than the chapters you would find in like a normal trade paperback.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Unless
maybe
it's
1,000.
Dan Brown.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, there's exceptions, but like generally speaking, like a trade paperback, your chapters can be between 3 and 10,000 words, and I'm doing like between 1,005 and 3. So they're like much shorter chapters because the audience is okay with getting the chapter for free every week.
Yeah.
So you can afford to make much shorter chapters.
So when you are you compiling these into later on? So like are you taking any of these smaller chapters and say crunching, several of those into?
I've done that before.
Okay.
During the editing process, sometimes it's like, oh, this chapter and this chapter, like they don't just like it just flows from one chapter to another. So why not just chop off the chapter number bit off? I've done that before. It's a fair amount of effort, and I've discovered lately that the readers don't care. So I just kind of stopped, and now I just publish kind of as is. I've noted that for audio, I've had a lot of people say that they really like the shorter chapters, which is fine. I personally, I like longer chapters, but I like taking long walks with my dog and listening to stuff sometimes. And some readers happen to really like those like bites because they end up being like exactly 15 minutes ish per chapter. And some people are like, hey, my drive is exactly half an hour in the morning, so it's exactly 2 chapters, and they don't have to end at like an awkward point every time. So it's like, okay, cool. But yeah, that chapter size is one of those weird variables you can kind of play with. It doesn't really matter that much at the end. I'm sure you could min-max your chapter size to be exactly where you need it to be for reader satisfaction, but like whatever, as long as something fun happens in each chapter. For comedies, actually, that's one of my like rules, is that every chapter needs 3 jokes. I don't always make it there, but I try to. For like stuff like Dead Tired, there's usually 3 jokes. And if you can't count 3 jokes, is if you're like, there was only 1 joke in this chapter. There were 3. The other 2 were just really lame. So it's like, all right. Yeah, so kind of how I work things out that way. But yeah.
Fair enough. Belgian Waffles wants to know, why are all your main characters women? Ignoring Dead Tired.
I was going to say one of them's a dead guy.
Yeah.
No. I don't know exactly. I just really like the female perspective in stories. I think it comes down to how I like to write. I like characters that are cuter, that are like more innocent, gentler, that get away with talking more. And this is going to be straight up like extremely sexist, but female characters can get away with not approaching a situation with violence, whereas a male character in the exact same situation, the default attitude of the reader is going to be like, well, why didn't you just punch him, or why didn't you just act out, or why didn't you go for the thing that makes you more physically powerful as opposed to the thing that makes you more knowledgeable or whatever. So if you're writing a female character, you can get away with that with a much greater ease than if you're writing a male character, and the audience will default to being like, yeah, sure, it's fine that the female character picked the cleaning skill as opposed to the blow up people's brain skill.
So some would argue it's the smarter skill.
Yeah, I mean, I would often. Yeah, so I like writing characters that have like a lot more social skills and social stuff going on, and female characters, you can actually just do that with much greater ease than male characters. So
fair enough.
Kind of a give or take there.
Gort asked, do you have a favorite joke in your stories? And
Gosh.
yes, women are cool.
I mean, yeah. Favorite joke. I mean, the one that I get like people mention to me very often is the wand of cure hysteria in Cinnamon Bun, which I'm not going to explain actually. I'll let you guys figure that one out if you get to it. If you figure it out, let me know. I have so many readers that only caught on like 5 books in. They're like, wait a second, this whole time. It's like, yeah, you just catch on, and others catch on to the joke immediately and hate it. And that's both very valid responses. So that's one of my favorite jokes that I've really enjoyed.
I'm just pulling in a lot of these are some really good questions in the chat. What was the hardest thing you've researched to put into your stories?
Ooh, I'm not sure about hardest. Sometimes I start researching stuff and there's just nothing. Or there's just no valid like you can do like a surface level search on things. Oftentimes I'll like just look up Wikipedia or whatever, and that's fine. And that's good enough for some stories. And then other times you're going to be like, hey, I need to know this very specific piece of information for a story because I want that detail to be correct. And you're just going to go like into a deep rabbit hole. Like I watch a lot of documentaries about different subjects. So sometimes I'll just, if in a story you see me go off on a random tangent about something, I probably just finished watching a documentary about that subject. And I was like, hey, let me tell you about this cool thing I just found out. So I do like doing that kind of research. There have been things where I'm really curious about a subject and there's nothing. There's just no information. Spormageddon is a story where I consistently bash my head against the wall. The main character in Spormageddon is a mycologist. They're like a doctor they have a PhD. That's their whole thing. And they're reincarnated into a fantasy world as a child. And of course they have mushroom magic. They know lots about mushrooms, so they go into mushroom stuff. So I had to research mushrooms quite a bit. I don't even like eating mushrooms, but I know a lot about them. And there's no information. Like I have textbooks. I have spoken to actual mycologists. I'm on the mycology Discord. Like I'm poking at experts in the field, and I'm like, hey, how does this work? It's like, yeah. It's like, but you have a PhD, and it's like, it's like, oh, all right, so. Well, that's not very satisfying. I have to make some shit up because I'm sorry, but all right, okay, cool. Now, why does this mushroom do this thing to people when they eat it? No, not enough people have eaten it for us to find out because they tend to die when they do that. So we tell them not to. It's like, oh, well, yeah, all right, cool. I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, especially when you dive into like poisons and dangerous things. It's like, hey, how does this mushroom kill people? And it's like, well, we know that they die. So we haven't really dug into it. We know that they eat it and then they're dead. Ah, all right. Cool, I guess. Thanks. And sometimes you bump into these like research walls where it's you dig into something and it's like, I really wanted to know a fact about like this material or this thing or whatever, and you find out that like nobody has ever studied it. Like the most recent paper is like from the 70s or something, and it's like really obscure, and sometimes you have to like it's like paywalled, so you have to buy access to it for whatever. It's really annoying. And then you read it and it's like, well, this is old and not very well researched, and some like master's candidate that did a paper on it for some small university somewhere, and I'm not sure how valid his research was, and this is it. That's like the entirety of human knowledge about this random infinitesimally unimportant subject is this old thing that doesn't go anywhere. It's like, all right, cool, thanks humanity. All right, thanks, cool, all right, I could figure it out myself, but I don't want to either, so whatever. And then you just invent some bullshit and you're fine, which is why sci-fi and fantasy is great, because nobody cares. So it's like, all right.
Mr. Grizzly Bear asked, what have you researched that'll put you on a government watch list?
God, so many things. Hopefully the puns, but but no, some a lot about drugs. God, especially I'm writing the 5th book of Spormageddon right now, and the main character starts their own drug empire, so that they can fund their eco-terrorism. And yeah, no, I've asked ChatGPT, hey, how do I set up a drug business? You know, and they weren't happy about that, so it didn't give me a straight answer. And like I tried doing my own research on it, and like it's all Breaking Bad stuff, and that's not quite accurate. But no, it's actually, honestly, that wasn't very hard to research. There's a lot of people that sold drugs that are willing to talk about it. So that's not a rare job, I guess. But yeah, definitely that kind of stuff. I'm assuming somewhere on a list they have like, this person is really sus, and it's like, oh well, he's an author, so it's kind of whatever.
Normally we ask how you handle writer's block or lack of creativity, but I don't think you suffer from that. So I'm going to skip that one.
You know what? You would say that, but it will hit me sometimes. What usually happens when I hit writer's block is that I'll try to push through to end a volume, and I'll just never touch that series again. And it will languish there, and I hope people will forget about it. And that's it. Some stories, it's just like, oh, I've made fundamental mistakes in the plotting or the characters or whatever, and the book is done. So to fix it, it would be like hundreds of hours of editing or like rewriting entire massive passages to fix the problem, and the end result is only going to be like 5 or like, if you could quantify it, it would be 10% better. That's a lot of work for 10% better. I could write another book in that time.
Yeah.
I would much rather write another book in that time. So it's like, yeah, there's a few series there. I don't intend to ever continue them unless they pop off really well. And there's parts of books that are just really difficult to write. I have a hard time with the climaxes, like right before the climax of a story. I tend to get blocked there. It slows me down quite a bit. Some books are just really difficult to write. The Agartha Loop, someone mentioned it earlier. That book was like, there you go. That book was easily a 12 to 16 hours to write a chapter, and they're not particularly long chapters. They were just like bash my head against the wall over and over and over again, and like writing at a pace of like 50 words an hour, and just really, really difficult, and lots of walks with the dog and like kicking myself in the back to just, okay, no, maybe this will happen. No, this will happen. And like, just really, really difficult to motivate myself to actually write those books. And which sucks because they turned out to be like, the people, they didn't sell well, but the people that read them liked them. So it's like, all right, yeah, I should probably go back and write the third one, but damn, that was hard. So yeah.
Well, so I know you really enjoy the world building. I always love that with authors and different stories. I find you can really tell when an author's really put a lot of time into this world building. But when you're writing so many books at the same time, do you ever get issues where like, okay, what world am I in now? Like, can you compartmentalize enough to, or you're like writing for one story and then realize you're writing for another one by accident kind of thing? Or
I've never really had the writing. I've had stylistic issues where it's like, oh, this story is written in this style and this story is written in that style, and I've like, oops, I crossed the wire somewhere. For world building stuff, I think it sounds impressive when I say I'm writing this many worlds, but I think like you probably played a bunch of games and watched a bunch of movies, and they're all set in different worlds. And if I say, hey, do you remember Star Trek? And hey, do you remember Star Wars? And hey, do you remember Stargate? And these are all very distinct worlds, and you'll know what those worlds are and what they look like and everything that's in them without having to like stop and really think really hard about it, because you just know that world is this and that world is this.
well, yeah, but I've already laid that track down over and over and over again. I'm thinking more like when you're beginning the books and
yes,
you're actually like building those tracks.
So. It really depends on how intense your world building is. I like doing more complicated world building. I find it more fun. But you have to kind of balance that complication versus how painful it will be for your writing later on. Because the more complex the world is, the more kind of knock-on effects it'll have on the plot, and like the world itself will affect the plot. But also, there's this kind of this thing where you can have like a very vast world that's extremely shallow, or you can have like an extremely deep world that's like very, very deep, but it doesn't encompass a large area, so to speak. And then you can have stories that do both, where it's like very deep and encompasses a large area. But those stories need to focus very hard on world building. Like a Cinnamon Bun does that, right? Where it's like the character travels from city to city. It's based on One Piece type of thing, right? Where it's a travel log. The character arrives in a city, talks to the locals, eats local food, talks about the local problems, tries to fix the local problems if they can, fights the local monsters and does things to help the locals, and then moves on to the next place. In that time, those 50, 60 chapters that are spent in a new city or new like nation or whatever, we're going to explore the world, we're going to explore the culture, we're going to explore the food, the agriculture, the economy. Like we can actually go really deep into the world building. I can have a chapter where a character just sits there and talks to the main character about like book binding for an entire chapter, because why not? Like, oh yes, we're in this city. Well, they bind the books this way, and this mysterious book you found was not made in this city because it uses this type of binding, whereas we use this type of binding, and that's an entirely different thing. And see this type of glue here? We don't use that type of glue here. This type of glue is made in this other city, but this binding is made in that city there. So this book must have been made by some. And like you can have an expert like go like full on into this, and now all of a sudden you're world building for this entire setting. If you imagine it as like a really wide thing, there's like this tiny little detail. It's like bookbinding is really deep compared to every other story out there. But the rest of the world is still kind of like, it's still kind of shallow, and it gives like this overall illusion of depth. If you can look at a setting and be like, oh wow, this setting is really deep. The author thought about bookbinding differences from city to city. That's crazy. And it's like, no, it's I just saw a documentary about bookbinding the other day. So like, sorry, like, yeah, I just kind of went full in on that for a few chapters.
Hey,
my bad.
Use
But
what
it,
works.
I was going to say, and I have had that thought. I have been like, wow, they are so in depth on this. They've thought about all this little minute stuff. Like, so it's working for you.
But it's the economy of words, right? Where you only have so many words on a page to communicate about the story. So the reader expects a certain amount of those words to be spent on world building. And if you go into like one detail of world building and you go really deep, it kind of gives credence that like, well, if I go into any other detail, it will be just as deep. Which no, of course not. That's not true. But you think it might be, and it could be maybe. So yes, some worlds, before you create the world, you're going to have like documents and pages, and it's going to be like really deep. Cinnamon Bun's world is like that. Like there's different races and species, and I like charted out where they came from and their origins, and like the political geopolitics of like all these cities and like nation states and everything else. It's like, okay, I have like 50, 60 pages of documentation. And other settings, it's like, so the Empress of Mars is very strong because big explosions. And she likes soap operas because romance, and she likes that. And it's like, cool, yeah. And then I'll just go like have a character go on for a chapter about space travel and how like the engines work, because I watched a documentary about space travel last week. And then you're like, wow, this setting is really deep too. Look at how the mechanics of space travel are like super complex. And it's like, nah, sorry. It's just no planning. It's an illusion. I'm sorry. I
got to jump into this question real quick because this is perfect. Are you a discovery writer? If you are, how do you stop yourself from planning too much? I tried, but was unsuccessful.
I'm more of a pantser. Yeah, I'm more of a discovery writer. mushrooms are weird. I had this eye-opening event about, wow, it must be 3 years ago now. Yeah, I had this really weird event that happened to me about 3 years ago. I was invited to a writing thing by Nixia, the author of This Quest is Bullshit and Stargazer's War. And I went to this event, and we were 7 authors staying at this resort place. It was really cool. I got to meet a bunch of authors that were writing lit RPGs, progression fantasy stuff. It was really great. It was nice. And we decided that this was a business thing, definitely not just staying in California to visit all the wineries, which is definitely not what we did. Sorry, Mr. Taxman, that was definitely business.
Absolutely.
So because it was business, we decided to actually work. So we marked out a couple days of the time we were spending there, and we're like, well, these days we're actually going to write. So I was like, all right, cool. So we wake up in the morning, and we were 7 authors. And do you want to know how many different writing styles, like not like the writing style, but like the way people approached writing there was?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there were 7. There were 7 professional published authors, all of us making this the career authors, and not one of us wrote the same way. Void Herald was there, perfect run, and like 50 other stories. He's very fun. He sat down like a fucking French machine, and he was like tick 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 from the start to the end. Like we had like a 6-hour writing session. He just wrote the entire time, nonstop. And I was like, this bastard. Like, God, I hate him. And he was like, what the hell? And Nixia was, I shouldn't say that. He was very dramatically going like, I need to walk. I need to think. And then he would leave, and then he would come back, and then he would write like 4 paragraphs of the most beautiful prose you've ever read. And it's like, this is pure poetry. And then he'd be like, I need to think, and then leave again and come back and write 1 paragraph. We had this other fellow who would write like crazy mad. He was just going nuts on the keyboard, just da, 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 and it's like, oh crap. And then he would just stand up and it's like, I'm gonna go do the dishes. And he'd go and do the dishes, and he'd come back and he goes like crazy. And he'd stand up again, like, does anybody want canapes? I want some canapes. And then he'd go and make like fresh. If he wants to live at my place, I would have let him. Cleaning, doing the dishes. He was making food. He was baking stuff. He would just write like crazy, and then he would get up and go do something else. And he'd come back, and it was like 7 authors, and we all had our own approach to writing. And it was, for me, that was really eye-opening, because I was like, I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to do my best. Am I being the most efficient, effective writer I can be? No, because I'd be a much lower level in RuneScape if I was. And you know, it's like, yeah, no, I could probably do a bit more, but I need that little break once in a while to chill out and let my brain percolate on stuff. And it works for me, right? The end result is sad. I'm happy with the end result. And it was like a really cool way of discovering that every author, you shouldn't, basically, if it's that event from then on made something that's happened to me in my entire life as a writer really bother me afterwards, where I would get advice, or I would see people giving advice to new authors, and it'd be like, when you're writing, you have to plan it out, and you have to do this, and you have to use character sheets, or you have to do this, and you have to do this to write. And it's like, no, entirely bullshit. Pardon my French. It's entirely untrue. It's you figure out what works for you. Like, it might work for you. Mm-hmm. Maybe character sheets and planning and like a big poster with little sticker lines and little whatever is in little notes. If that works for you, that's fantastic. That's great. Cool. Do that. But it wouldn't work for me. It sure wouldn't work for me. And it would just drive me insane. I'd find that super boring. But if it works for you, then do it. And I don't say don't try it, because maybe you'll try it and you'll discover that, hey, it's a cool trick, or I can incorporate parts of it into my own writing. But no, I just had my writing career lasted long enough that I tried a lot of different writing styles, and like I'm going to write this book by outlining it, and I'm going to write this book, and I have no idea where I'm going with it. And I've done quests, which are interactive stories where you write a chapter, and at the end of the chapter, you have an open vote where people can add a vote to a poll, and other people can vote on what other people added. And you're like, what's the character going to do next? And you just let the audience decide what the character is going to do next. And then the next day, you have to write, like, you write a chapter every day on those. And those were crazy because you'd wake up and it's like, I have to write a chapter in the next 3 hours, and I don't know what the character is going to do. And crazy hard to do, but great experience. I wouldn't suggest doing that every day. I wouldn't suggest making a career out of that because it's so disjointed and crazy. You get like trolls in your chat or trolls in your audience, and they make your character do stupid things. But that was fun, and that was like a valid way to write. So yeah, no, fine. If you're thinking of writing, if you're thinking of picking up the pen, then try different things. Try to figure out what works for you and go with that. Don't listen to people that say this is how you have to do it, because they are objectively wrong. Sorry, I went on a long rant.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
I loved it.
Joseph, I know you've been holding on, so go for it, bud.
Oh, where'd you come up with Ravensdagger? Like, how did that?
Oh, okay.
How did that come to be?
Okay. This is one I've told a few people before, I think. My real first name is Edgar, EDJR. And my username online was Dagger, DAGER, with only one G. And I would have people tell me your name is spelled incorrectly constantly, but it was an anagram of Edgar. I don't know if people can see. Oh, this is on the other side. I don't know if people can see the letters here. There you go. If you remove the G, you can switch the letters around. It forms the word Edgar. So that was my username on like a bunch of sites with like a bunch of numbers and stuff. And so I kept that name for a long time. And Raven comes from Edgar Allan Poe. Someone gave me a collection of Edgar Allan Poe's books when I was relatively young. Too young to be reading those, actually. And young me was very impressed that there was an author with my name, because my name is relatively uncommon. There aren't a lot of Edgars around. And I was very impressed that, like, oh, wow, there's a person with my name who wrote a book. That is very cool. And so that inspired me. That was a lot of my early reading was like at Allan Poe's poetry. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for Ravens and his iconography and imagery. So yeah, I just kind of shoved the two together at some point and just kind of ran with that. Honestly, it is a terrible username for the style of writing I do, because it implies like it's like kind of darker and edgier, whereas I don't write dark and edgy at all. So it you know. Fluffy Bluebird would have been better or something.
You shouldn't have said that. You know, there's people still watching, and they're probably going to start calling you that on your Discord.
That can be your horror writing name.
Oh, there you go. There's your name. Yeah,
Fluffy Bluebird or something. Like, oh wow, what the hell is wrong with this person? Were you surprised by the amount of fanfiction SCS generated? I love a lot of the fanfics that are SCS adjacent. Yes, I'm surprised that it worked. No, because I wrote Stray Cat Strut with fanfiction in mind. Before I started writing Stray Cat Strut, I made a list of the elements of other stories. I think it was Harry Potter, Ruby, and I think Worm. So I read those 3 books and watched one, and I interacted with that media, and I was like, these 3 pieces of media have a lot of fan fiction. I've written some fan fiction in all 3. I enjoy these series. Now, why did people write fan fiction of these things in particular, and what can I do to create a world where people are going to want to write fan fiction of that world? So I went through and I looked for common tropes, and I tried to distill, and I looked at the writing style, and I tried to find the elements that created a world where people would want to insert themselves into that world. And then I wrote Stray Cat Strut based on that, and it worked. People write a bunch of Stray Cat Strut fanfiction now, so that's genuinely really cool.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Because I can imagine the type of stuff you would get knowing, like I said, I've done 3 of the books so far in that world, and you've explored a lot of different things within that world already. So, I mean, I can see how a lot of people will be like, well, if I got the powers, this is what I would do. So
it's that's like one of the bigger elements of Stray Cat Strut, where it's like, if you were a vanguard or a samurai or whatever, what would you do with the powers, or how would you change this society, or the main character is an idiot and they did stupid things because they're not very intelligent, but you're smarter than the main character, probably, definitely, actually, like genuinely smarter than her. She's a dumbass. And you could do better easily. So how would you do this, like, with your own, if you had this power in our world, which opens up the doors to people wanting to write what their cool OC would do if they had that cool power. And the tabletop RPG that I wrote last year, and I'm still trying to finish up right now, is pretty much just the same. It's like, well, we're distilling that into like a more mechanical system where it's like, here's points and here's the catalogs and like here's how to advance levels and whatever else. But like now you can put your main character or your character into this world as well and like play as them on tabletop. And it translated relatively well ish.
See that.
Yeah. Quick question.
Yes.
If you could meet one of your characters in real life, which one would it be?
If I could be one of my characters in real life.
You could meet one of your
meet one of my characters in real life. Okay. Do I go with the like, oh, that's such a cute thing to say, and say like broccoli or like mem or something like that? Or do I go with the yeah, no shit answer, which is like I'd meet one of like the godly characters and just tell them what they want to hear and get godly powers out of it. Like I don't know, right? It's like, ooh, a hug from broccoli would be really sweet. But he wouldn't make me richer or better looking. So, you know, so I don't know which character would be most interesting to meet. I think Alice of all characters. Alice is the yeah, broccoli would be my new best friend. But if it's only for like a meeting, it feels like that's not long enough. I think Alice would be really interesting to converse with because she's like a multiple 1,000-year-old AI thing, and she has tech and stuff and no good idea of when not to give it away. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting, I think.
Speaking of mem, that was I can't remember if I mentioned that on the previous show or not. How did you come up with the 3-letter names for all of the
accident.
Total accident, huh?
Yeah, it might be. I was like, Rem is like, I don't know. There's just like a Rem. It sounded cool. Like I dumb character, so I was like, it has to be like a really easy name to say. So it's Rem. Okay, cool. And then I was like, well, Rem needs a sister, and it's gonna be Mem.
Nice,
cool. And then it became a joke where like one of them went on an adventure and she's Bun, and then one did this and she's Gun, and then like just 3-letter pun. I have a list of like every 3-letter noun that ends with N or M, and I'm still working through it.
Nice.
I'm actually running out of bad puns I can use. But yeah, like I don't think I've had a religious one called None yet, but you know, it'll come up. You know.
We'll be looking for that in the next one.
She'll be in the tournament, maybe.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, this is a question that we started after we interviewed my sister-in-law, who in January literally quit her day job and has become a full-time writer. Cool. But she was talking to us about Goodreads and how a lot of other authors she knows refers to it as the bad place. Do you have a similar opinion of that, or?
No, not really. This is not controversial, but it's almost, if you think about it too hard. I think to be all right, let me preface this. You can be a writer or you can be an author, and these are 2 entirely different careers, right? A writer is an artist who creates written works, and an author is a person who publishes written works. These are not the same thing. And you can be the world's best writer, and nobody will read your stories because you're an ass author, right? Like what I'm doing right now with you guys, this is author work. I'm not creating more fiction, but I'm talking to people about my fiction, and maybe I'm going to sell like $5 worth of books or something. I'm actually more doing this because it's fun, but whatever. This would be author work, right? And the PR and there's a lot of like understanding your audience, and like if I'm going to write a lit RPG, how am I going to advertise it? What tropes are popular right now? What stuff do people want to read? What's popular? Like that stuff falls into the author category, whereas writer is like actually executing on that. So if you're a good author, I think part of it is understanding that criticism is just going to happen, and like tighten your belt and gird your loins, and just be ready to have people tell you that you're the worst thing that's ever been invented, and that you're a terrible person, and whatever else. Like it just happens. It's just normal internet discourse, and like the ones that hurt the most are the ones that are actually correct. Those ones suck because it's like, yeah, you're right. I am bad at my job. Damn. All right. And yeah, no, it sucks, but just get good. You just learn to accept that people are going to be critical at you, and they're going to be rude sometimes with their criticism. And it sucks to hear, but that's just kind of the way it is, and you got to live with it. And just don't let it get to you, and don't take it personally. It's not actually directed at you as a person. It's directed at you as a job title. So if you've ever worked customer service and a client comes in you and they're angry, they're not actually angry at you, right? They're angry at like something else, like about the service or whatever. It's not you personally that's in the wrong.
Yeah.
The customer might actually be valid, like they might be right, and it's the product that's not good, but you're the person that's there. Except if you're the author, you also the one that made the product, so that kind of sucks, But whatever. You got where I was going with that one.
We got where you were going with that. Yeah.
My last question. I'm sensitive to what time it is for you too. So my last question is, what do you think Harold would kind of do or think of if he was dropped into the dungeon crawl with Carl? I'm just curious what would happen there, and if he would get along with Donut or not, because I think he would.
I think he would like Donut. If it depends on how they were introduced.
Yeah.
If Donut said anything that was moderately endearing or punny, he would get along with her immediately. There's a lot of cat puns out there. There's just a lot of cat puns out there. You could very, are you feline good or like whatever, and then like he
nice.
go on with that. He would be very proud of himself. I don't think he would fit in that world well because of like the power scaling thing, where it's like I'm not sure where he would fit in the greater dungeon crawler cosmos of like, oh, this sucks, and then he would just kill himself and reincarnate another phylactery and be like, all right, cool, that was awful.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing that again. Or he might just be like, oh, this game show thing is kind of interesting and the benefits are neat. I'll play along for a few hundred years, and then if I'm bored, I'll leave. Yeah. So that's the issue with characters that are very overpowered, is that like a lot of the restrictions and elements that make a character stuck in a setting, they can just leave. So they have too much agency, basically, as a character. So that's kind of a and don't worry about time. I just woke up, so it's all good.
Don't say that, because we literally like talked. Justin, like we talked to him so long, he ran out of water. You could tell he was like,
I might have to go fill my water bottle. I have a mini fridge right here.
Oh, well, then you're good to go. So
I'm good. I got
next question. No.
We're good.
So what other creative hobbies do you have? You've already mentioned video games. You mentioned that you were working on a board game and stuff. So, I mean, as much as you write, it sounds like you don't have time for anything else, but obviously that's not the case.
I host like playtests every Thursday night for my TTRPG.
Okay.
So that's another hobby I DM a little bit. I paint itty bitty models.
Nice.
A little Warhammer and Trench Crusade and all this stuff. I've gotten into digital kit bashing lately. I would love to do a. You look very confused about that.
Okay, I get kit bashing. What is digital kit bashing?
Oh, I like kit bashing,
Mhm.
but I also have a really nice 3D printer, so I just take the 3D models that I like, and I take parts of other models I like, and I snip them off and I stick them together.
That totally makes sense. Okay, I got you. I got you.
So I have like a little. It's my camera feed is reversed for some reason.
Yeah.
And I confused myself on the screen. I have like a little new Antioch army for Trench Crusade, which are all Victorian maids instead of World War I soldiers. And that was
Nice.
like digital kit bashing, right? We're like sticking aprons onto things and like whatever. So I paint a lot, miniatures and stuff like that. That's I think it for artistic hobbies. I like games. I guess that's a hobby, but it's not like artistic. It doesn't feel as artsy. Like I don't feel creatively fulfilled if I played a game. Well, depends on the game. But I do when I paint and write. Show off the maid brigade. Do you actually want me to pick up? I mean, I can.
It's up to you, man. If you want to show them off, show them off. Like we're here. Ray, Chris, Sean, are y'all okay still? Because I know it's getting a little late.
It's getting late. Yeah, it's getting a little
I'm not teaching tomorrow. Fuck it.
Okay. Chat, I'm so glad y'all are here. I hope you're enjoying it. I know I've jumped over some questions. I do apologize for that. And I'm trying to stay caught up with it, but there's been a lot of good questions tonight. So thank you so much in chat. We do appreciate it.
Well, so what I was going to say before we go in on this one, if we can have Ravens back again to ask some of the questions that we've missed, I think it would be amazing.
I would not mind at all if you guys.
Oh yeah, we'll
yeah.
tell you what, we may have to finish a series or something. Like I know I've done, like I said, I know I've done all three of Dead Tired. Maybe we should wait till the rest of the group can get caught up with those, and then we can have you on again. But no, let's see this work real quick.
Yes.
All right. So
I just
not sure
downloaded
if
all the Stray Cat Strut.
all of them.
Ooh. Well, it's a sale on Audible right now, so I just cleared them
that
out.
makes sense. Come on, I have to hide my face. Come on.
Do this behind your, like, do your hand behind it.
Yep.
Sometimes that will cause it to.
That might do it. I can. All right. Let's see.
Hey.
Okay. Oh, I see the maidenness. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
on. I really like my fingers.
Got a shield. Got a gun.
Yeah. Just very low res. Come on.
So, are you
Oh, well.
are you doing it like normal glasses? Do you have like a magnifying glass or something that you're glasses or something that you use?
Oh no, I've absolutely messed up my eyesight. It's just mad, like trying to paint those little guys.
Fair enough.
So yeah, so that's one of my things I've been doing lately. I've just been painting that. I've only picked up painting like a couple of years ago, actually.
Okay.
So that's just been kind of, I don't know, fun-ish. I actually no, that's not true. My dad and I used to do a lot of airplane kits and tank
Okay.
stuff like that. Those little scale models when I was young.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like just the same thing, but you actually get to play games with them instead of just displaying them. So that, I think
Yeah,
for like weird hobbies.
I've got a ton of board games behind me. I just don't really have a
see
lot
that.
of people to play anymore. And
Is that
there's
terrible? You buy these things for so much; they're really expensive.
yes.
And then it's like, oh wow, I watch videos on YouTube to learn the rules and never get to play any of them. Yeah, I know. I have a collection of games I've never played.
I've recently started playing asynchronous games on Board Game Arena with some friends, and that has helped. It's still not quite the same thing, and it also doesn't help that I've fallen in with a group of friends that about the only time we get together, the only thing we're playing is Twilight Imperium 4, which just eats your entire world. So
yeah,
yeah.
I have a friend group. In real life, we meet every Sunday for games. And it's like, hey guys, you want to play like this or this or this? I have Lancer, I have this, I have like all these games. I've got games that I've made, I got all sorts of things. And they're like, hey, let's do D&D again. It's like, Fine. All right, let's go. Let's play D&D again. Which fair, it's low engagement necessary to play, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I live out in the boonies, so there's no like local game shops or anything like that either. So it's there's no good meetup places for that. I do play on like tabletop sim every so often, but it's not the same. It's not as fun.
No, it's not as fun, and it's okay. It kind of scratches that itch a little bit. It's not quite there. So
yeah, it feels a lot more competitive on that type of
yeah.
The Discords or whatever where you go to find a game, it's people that have been playing for a while and they've figured out a meta, or like they're there to win more than just real life games where you're just kind of sitting with a beer and ordering pizza halfway through, and like that's half the fun, and being bad at it and rolling poorly, or like rolling 2 6s and you're like, yeah, you're going crazy. It doesn't have the same charm. Although I do like, strangely enough, I do really like tabletop games online. As a DM, I like them better online than in person. As the DM, not as the player. As the player, it's more fun in person. As the DM, it's so much easier online. Like, but this is a really weird tangent. But like, yeah, I do Hope Punk every Thursday night, and it's like, hey, let's play. And it's like I can download maps, and the players are here now. You guys role play for a bit while I paint this guy.
Oh, nice.
It's I don't need my full attention to DM for a while. But yeah, that's always fun.
That sounds like a good gig. Let's see here. Never heard of this podcast before. Came for the burb. Yeah, we're here for the burb too.
All right, cool.
So, completely random question. What's your favorite Lancer mech?
Ooh. What is my favorite Lancer mech? I've got a bunch of Lancer mechs behind me. Is it a cop-out to say Everest? It's such a boring mech. But all right, I'll say that. Everest. Togruda's good. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name correctly. This is such a random question to be asked. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. Like I've always said, like, because you watch interviews with people, especially celebrities and stuff, and people who've done a lot of, and they keep getting asked the same question. How did you get into? How did you do this? How did you start? And I've always just like, if I got a huge, like, super big celebrity, I'd just be like, what do you want to talk about? Like, do you want to talk about your dog? We'll just talk about your dog. I just want to talk to you for like half an hour. Like,
it's more authentic. I find it's like, this person, Zhang. Oh well, yeah. Well, we can disregard that person's opinion for the rest of this. No, I'm
fair enough.
I'm kidding. That was bad. That was me.
Well, tell you what, we are going to try to be respectful of your time. Does anyone have any final questions they want to throw out there real quick?
There's only one more. Sorry.
You already said one more, but I guess we'll give you one more.
No, but,
and I don't have a question. I just have a thank you for you. You reading
no problem.
to Dead Tired. It was my break from Dungeon Crawler Carl. I needed a break. I needed a freaking break. It was like it was too much. And then I listened to that, and I was just like, oh, it was like a little pet for the brain. It was like,
that's very much the goal of a lot of my stories. I life kind of sucks sometimes. As just kind of the way it is, and I want to write stuff where people can read it and feel nice and feel good, and just be like, hey, maybe it doesn't suck that bad, or at least for a few minutes, like you felt good, and it's like, all right, cool.
And we greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, you're very welcome. I
was listening to it while I was gardening. It was like the perfect combination.
Yeah, exactly. That's ideal for that. Gardening, killing your foes. There's just like different moods, and
I was building a fence. Like it was.
There you go. It's not an offensive story, so it just
Loving the puns. What was your question, Ray?
So the question I had was about Alex. Is Alex based on anyone? Because I love Alex. Like,
oh god, I have a story about Alex if you want.
Thank you for asking that question. That's a damn good question.
Okay, to answer your question directly, no, Alex is not directly based on anybody. They kind of started off as a joke and then just kind of like went from there. And they're a character that grew very organically. Like I was like, oh, the cool lich guy. It's really hard to write a story where there's characters that's alone. You can do it, I've done it before where you just have a character and they're completely alone and there's nobody for them to interact with and it's like no dialogue. It's easier to do in first person because then the character can talk to the audience, kind of. Anyway, whatever. I wanted the cool lich character to go to a place and do these things. I had ideas for a plot. And I knew they would meet the limpet. The limpet was like from the start was going to be important, Fenfang. And that was cool. But it wasn't going to be for like 10 chapters. And I was like, okay, well, I need someone for the character to bounce off of, and they need to be opposites of Harold in some way, but similar in others. So I was like, okay, well, cool butler character. I would kind of fit the Victorian theme of Harold, his tweed jacket and everything. And I was like, oh, I'll do a maid because maids are funnier. And so Alex was just kind of born from that. And they happen to have a kind of gender neutral name. So that's cool. And they just kind of evolved. But I just really like the way Alex kind of grew as a character. I have been gender neutraling them in the latest, like at first they were like definitely feminine and now they're more they them. I don't know if it's like super noticeable. It's really hard for me to do. I keep forgetting. It's like, oh yeah, maid, she. But you know, whatever. Anyway, I have a lot of like trans readers for reasons. And a lot of them identified really well with Alex. So I was like, hey, good, that's cool. And I can see why. Like the characters got stuff going on. And that's really neat. But when I sent Dead Tired to Soundbooth, this is the tangent. I sent Dead Tired to Soundbooth, and they have a process for doing audiobooks that's very different from what I'm used to. And they kept sending me files. And I was like, all right, it's like, I don't have time for this. I don't have like 30 hours to listen to it. Like I got other things to do. And most other audio production companies, I just listen to like the first chapter or two, and it's like, it's good enough. And then it goes and it gets produced. Which, like, if I was a better author, I'd probably spend more time checking and proofing and making sure. But I'd rather write than do that. So I was like, fine, just do your thing. And then eventually I had nothing to do, so I listened to Dead Tired. And Alex's voice, I can't do it justice. But Alex sounded like this the whole time they were talking. They sounded like this deep. I can't do it like that depth. But Alex sounded very mentally unwell. And slow, like the cadence of his daddy. And it was like, oh no. Oh no. I cannot have Alex speaking like that throughout the entire book. And I was like, oh. And this was like the final version that they had sent me. They were like, hey, it's done. Here it is. And I approached JTJ and I was like, hey, hey, so I you know that file you sent me a month ago to proof? Yeah, I just listened to it. Oh, you know that character, you know, the one you voiced and they sound real stupid? Yeah, there's a lot of readers that identify with that character and they're not gonna like that. And that's kind of insulting. And it kind of like, I don't like that so much either. And JTJ was like, oh, are you sure? Because that's like, Alex speaks in every chapter almost. And we're gonna have to re-record the whole thing. And I was like, ooh, that sounds expensive. and Justin was like, all right, we'll just do that.
Wow,
like,
really?
Amazing.
And he re-recorded the entirety of Dead Tired.
Wow.
I obviously not the other actors, but like just all of the, and then just redid the whole thing just because I said I don't like the sound of this character's voice. And you can like bet your bottom dollar like none of the other audiobook companies I worked with, if I point out a mistake, sometimes they're like, it's not that big, and they won't even fix it, which is why I don't bother to check anymore, because I know I'll know that there's an error. Like a character, like there's a one that's coming out soon where the voice actor says facsimile instead of facsimile, and it's like, Pretty sure that's not how you say that, but whatever. It's fine. It goes fast. You know, you're not sure if that was a mistake or not. Most people don't know how to pronounce that anyway, right? I hope. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. So yeah, no, I was like, that really sold me on Soundbooth, like that they just decided to like, okay, yeah, your opinion's valid. We'll redo the entire thing. Probably 1,000 plus. I mean, I don't know how much it actually costs per produced hour, but like a lot of hours of re-editing and redoing everything just because, hey, this character sounds stupid. And yeah, they didn't need to do that, and I genuinely very appreciative. And Alex, like if you've listened to the audiobook, Alex sounds like Alex. Like they have this very soft, not like feminine, but not entirely feminine. It's like very demure, but like nice sounding voice, and it's like, oh, actually very impressive that Justin can sound like that. Guy's got fantastic chops.
Based on like Mr. Humphreys or something like that.
He sounded like
being served
like Igor from like some of the old Frankenstein stuff. Like it was just like really bad. Anyway,
and it's so much better when you get into the fight scene and Alex just like slaughters everyone. And it's just this very well. Daddy was having an issue, so I took care of it. It's just like, cool. All right, don't mess with the maid.
As she bashes someone's skull in with a pan, it's like the copper's not bad. It's great. And like, look, the blood didn't stick to the Teflon. It's like, oh wow, that's fucked up. All right.
Mrs. Grizzly Bear said, my signed copies of Dead Tired 1 and 2 literally arrived today.
Hey,
so that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyone else, any other final questions before we let him go? So, yeah, I'm sure I can come up with 1,000 other questions. It always happens. I go back and listen to every single episode. I'm just like, I should ask that. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to have you on another time.
Do it again.
So,
sucks,
I know
just the way it's just the way it is. You know, just gonna have to come back and finish it off. And
no, there's my boy. I did have one other thing I was going to say. So I've managed to put up several of the covers throughout, and you talked a little bit about them. We didn't hit a couple of them. I was wondering if you would just kind of give us a quick overview of some of them.
Sure. What's this? Magical Girl Crystal Genecide. Oh God. Okay. This actually goes back to something Sean said. As you recall, about an hour ago.
Okay. Yeah.
I genuinely love world building. I think world building is like, if I can like, I don't know how to say this in English. Pet mi bretel. That does not translate to English at all. If I can be full of myself for a moment, I like to think that I do world building relatively well. It's my thing that I like doing. And so I was like, hey, I want to do more of this, and I need a good excuse to do more. And Magical Girl Crystal Genecide was that excuse. The basic premise is that there's this setting where there are magical girls. Surprising. There are 12 of them. And they, in chapter 1, paragraph 1, I think, they blow up Earth.
Good start.
So they gather up on the moon as Earth forms a ring around the moon. And they're somewhat upset about this. So they're like, well, we have to fix this. This slight oopsie. And they make another oopsie. And Magical Girl Crystal Genecide and all her friends, Rending Nightmare, Screaming Bioplague, and the others, they all end up on different worlds, kind of asleep. There's some stuff going on that I won't explain, but one of them awakens eventually, Crystal Genecide, and she's the newest of the magical girls, the weakest one. And she ends up in another setting, which is like a fantasy medieval setting, except she's a New Zealand girl from Earth, and she's like, oh, this is kind of horrific, but I can also summon kilometer-long spears made of crystal, and I can summon diamonds at will and lasers, and I have blown up planets before, so like, all right. And then she, like, the adventure starts, but like the basic premise of the story is that she saves her friends, but then with the friend they go to the next setting, And the second setting is set in Ukraine during Stalker-esque stuff going on. There's time fuckery because it's the time magical girl that's messed up. And she's captured on this other world, and they have to reach where she is and save her. So we have this very Stalker, grim... the second volume is based on Roadside Picnic. And it's like very dark, and it's like, oh, this is messed up. And then you have two magical girls that are like do 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 do, and they're just having fun, like skipping along because they don't care that it's messed up. It's like whatever. They fought Nazis and blown up Godzilla, like whatever. It's just Thursday. It's this very fun story that kind of explores the dichotomy between having these like extremely powerful young women with varying levels of like how responsible they are, exploring a lot of magical girl tropes, which are something I'm really fond of, and exploring different settings. So like each setting has a magic system based on one of the girls' power. So Screaming Bioplague, magical girl Screaming Bioplague, her world is a zombie world. And
okay, yeah,
cool, right? And Happy Sparkles, her world is a superhero world. And so like you kind of get to explore 12 different settings, 12 different versions of Earth. And I just got to have a lot of fun doing like a lot of world building for that, and being like, oh, let's just go all in on the world building for this. But if you like stuff like Dead Tired, like the more absurdist comedy bits, you might like Crystal Genocide. It's very silly. It has to be silly because you have extremely powerful characters doing stupid things for reasons.
The last one I wanted to put up is this one.
Oh, Heart of Darkness. That's coming out in like 20, like not even like 15 days from now.
Yeah,
I think. I don't. What's the date?
The date is, I wrote it down, 4/21/26. So
21. So somebody doing math because I can't. Yeah, Heart of Darkness is a very cute story. It's very wholesome. It is not at all like Crystal Genocide. Heart of Darkness has pretty deep world building as well. It's a setting where there are multiple gods doing their own things, and one of the gods is called Hero, the god of heroes, and he summons a person from our world to become someone who's about to die, to become a new hero for him, a new champion. And this person drags along their best friend to get separated, and the best friend wakes up in the like gore pit of the goddess of darkness. And the goddess of darkness is like, that's not supposed to be there. And so this young girl who's like a child, like 7 or 8 years old, adopts the goddess of darkness as her mom. And it's a found family story where this young child rehabilitates the goddess of darkness. Tries. And the goddess of darkness tries to corrupt her into becoming evil. Tries. And it's a kind of a comedy, like a found family comedy. It's very sweet. It's very cute. If you like mother-daughter bonding or family bonding and like just cutesy, very wholesome vibes, it's a very weirdly written story. I had a weird kick for a while where I was trying to experiment with different tenses and persons. And Heart of Darkness is written in past and present tense at the same time. So every third chapter or every second chapter, I can't remember if I edited it that way or not, but every second chapter is set several years behind, with the amount of time between them approaching the day that the main character leaves on her adventure. And the main chapters are in present tense as the main character narrates her adventure. So it's like, go do this adventure, and then every other chapter is like years before, and then fewer years until the day before she leaves for the adventure. So you get it's a cool way of introducing the character's entire backstory, and then like the character's active adventure. Very difficult to plot that way because it's not really a spoiler, but like every past chapter explains something that just happened in the present chapters. Okay. So like a chapter ends as the character is about to introduce herself, and it would go into the past where she gets her name. And it's like, oh, here's the day you got named, and like the chapter ends with her having her name, and then the next chapter begins with her saying the name that you just saw her getting in the past, and it's like, oh, like here's like flashback time, and it's like nonstop flashbacks. Anyway, it's just a very cute, wholesome adventure. 2 volumes completed fully. There's no third volume planned or anything. So it's just a duology. Too awkward to make into one big book. I think it would have been like 400K or something. So it was easier to be in 2. But yeah, full adventure, full done. Yay, happy. I won't get told that I never finish anything again, hopefully.
Was that done out of spite as well, just to be like?
No. That one, a lot of readers were like, "Hey, you could continue this." I'm like, "I could, but I won't." There's an end. Like there's an ending there. See where it says the end? There's a period at that. That's the end. No, it has a satisfying ending. I'm happy with it. Evil Antagonist as well, which just came out a few days ago, also has a definitive ending. Although I did promise the publishers, if I make $1 million, I will write the complicated divorce life of Evil Antagonist, because that is funny. So we'll see about that.
Nice. Well, with that, we usually do a thing where we go around and we talk about what else we've been reading. If we want to do that real quick, guys. So tell you what, I'll go first. I've been reading Stray Cat Strut books 1 through 3. Just finished those. And I'm taking a break so that it's about that time. I'm making my rerun through the dungeon to get ready for Dungeon Crawler Carl 8 is 8 next. The next one. Jeez. Yeah. So I'm running through that right now so I can get caught up with that. And that's what I've been reading. Joseph, what else have you been reading?
I've read Shrubly, the Monster Adventurer, books 1 and 2. Dead Tired, books 2 and 3, and I'm currently reading Shorthand Curses, which, Chris, I think you will really like.
Okay.
Sean, what else you been reading?
I read a bunch of the Heretical Fishing.
Okay.
I got the book 4 finished it, and God, I hate being a completionist sometimes. Because I wanted to stop at book 2, but I'm like, no, I got to keep going. And there's a book 5, and they just released book 6, and I can't do it. It is. Anyway,
it's okay. You don't have to complete it. We've had this conversation.
I know, but I get twitchy. So I'm taking a break. I'm doing Tales from the Gas Station Volume 1, which is. I need something completely different from stupid fishing and stuff like that. So it is all over the map. It's actually fun to listen to going to and from work. But
okay.
But yeah, I got all of Stray Cat Strut now. While we were talking, I got the whole series, so that might be coming up next.
Let's go. I appreciate your completionist. I made like $30 while this conversation was going on.
I know, right?
Hey, I do my best.
I've got credits waiting. It's gonna happen. I've just got to get there. So, Ray, what else you been reading?
So I ripped through the Bobverse again and listened to number 5. Just finished that one up. So, and then I jumped back into Dead Tired 2 because I want to finish that one up. Continue with that series for a bit, knowing that the 4th one is coming. And,
I'm so glad I found that out. Oh man! After the 3rd book, I'm like, no, there's got to be more.
I'm saying.
Eventually, I was supposed to finish that one for June, and it's not going to happen. Absolutely not. I'm only like 30% through, and it's taking forever.
We'll be here. We will be waiting. So it's going to be all good. Chris, what else you been reading?
I have been on the biggest DNF streak of my life. Nothing is sticking. Everything is shit. And it's so frustrating. I have DNF'd like the last
4,
half a dozen books that I've tried.
Wow.
Yeah, I've even tried reading one twice and I had to put it back down. I got to the same point and I'm like, I'm bored. So right now I'm like a chapter or 2 away from finishing a book that Ray bought for me, but that I told him to get. It's because he listened.
Good job.
And I do not like it. Here's the thing. The blurb on the back does not match what's inside, which is pissing me off because it threw me all off. And I expected a completely different story than I got. and he's been hearing about it. And I got the second book because I'm a sucker, and I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it and probably read it, and that'll be the book I finish. And I got to read something good because this reading is not just.
We have some options.
We have options, but
Raven, you been reading anything?
Yeah. I've been keeping up with a few stories. Max Level Archmage is doing really well on Royal Road. That's been very fun to read. What else? Years of the Apocalypse by Uranium Phoenix. I heard they're stubbing soon. They're going to be on Amazon and audio very soon as well.
Okay.
So both of those actually. So you can look forward to Years of Sean won't like it, but Years of the Apocalypse is possibly the best written looper story I've ever read. Time looping story. Very
Actually,
deep.
someone in
very,
the comments posted that too.
it's like genuinely very good. Explores like the psychology of it. I could rant about it for a while. Uranium Phoenix is quite good. Also a teacher. So hey.
Okay.
So I've been reading that Changeling by Mechanimus, which I heard ended on Patreon, which I'm upset about because no, it's what do you mean it's ended? Like there's only like 10 chapters left till like it. I don't see how the story can end in 10 chapters. I'm going to be very upset when it ends. Because that's been a frequent read from me. And Saris has been writing a new story called the Mech Utaku, which I've been getting poked at every time there's a new chapter, so I go and read it every time. And very silly, over the top story, but very fun, very cute. So I hope they keep on writing. That's an odd author. They write a story until they're bored with it, and then they just kind of, all right, next thing, and then they go on with that for a while. They don't publish their books; they just publish them online, so they don't have they're not like a volume. So it's like, I'm done. Just go write something else. They might come back to it eventually, maybe for a few chapters, and then so it's like, oh, they're on a kick, they're writing like a chapter of this every day. Let's go, and it's like exciting. So yeah, I think that's all I've been reading. I read Just Add Mana recently. A friend suggested it. First book was 9 out of 10. Very, very good. Second book kind of lost me. If you like Doctor Who type, it feels very Doctor Who like. Main character is like a very, very old person that reincarnates every so often. Kind of very Doctor Who like, right? And they're very powerful, and they know all the old people and all the old gods, and they're like, oh hey, you again. And they're very powerful, but not. And they have to be plucky and adventurous and fix things, and it's very fun. But I feel like in the second volume, about halfway through, it kind of wears the joke out. And it's like, all right. I have to kick myself in the pants and finish the second volume. I think it might get better because my friends tell me the third one's good. So I have to actually get to that. But yeah, I think that's it.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our social media stuff. Where can we find you online, Ravensdagger?
Amazon, Patreon.
Heck yeah.
Reddit. I do Reddit. And where else do I do stuff? Sarah's chapter dropped during this interview. Oh, we're going to cut this short, guys.
2 hours. We're not cutting it short.
Oh, okay. No, not. No. But yeah, Patreon if you want up-to-date news. But that costs money, so that's not fun. Reddit, if you have any questions or anything, you can always poke at me around at Royal Road. I don't really do social media very much. I have to kick myself in the butt and actually do that, but I find it very boring and not fun and annoying, so I don't bother.
I'll be very honest with you. I was literally like, I don't know if I'm still getting views and hits and stuff for doing reels and shorts on stuff. I think I'm about done. And then literally this is how we got introduced to you. So I'm just like, well, damn it, I guess I gotta keep going reels and shorts and stuff. So.
You gotta keep doing it,
Yeah. So but yeah, if you would send me an email with the links to your stuff, and I'll definitely put that in the chat. So Ray and Chris, where can we find you online?
So the Reluctant Yeti on Instagram, and also the book peddler on Instagram as well. for our store. And
Yeah.
it's crazy still.
Yeah.
Where
I know,
is
right?
your store? I remember vaguely looking it up, but I know it's in Ontario. But
Yeah,
Godrich.
Godrich.
Sound like
Godrich. So that's like a western end of Ontario, right? Ish,
Yeah.
like southwestern.
right
Lake
on
Huron.
Lake Huron.
Lake Huron. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drive over there. That's like 4 hours.
But-
Hey, if you were on like the
That'd be
eastern
longer.
end, I'd be like, hey, you're like 45 minutes. Let's go hang out.
Chris, where can we find you?
Moody Midlife or the Book Peddler, which is
Absolutely.
usually just him.
Sean.
Oh, I gotta warn you, I'm on Wikipedia a lot fucking with all the articles, so be careful with your research. And then your
That
favorite
explains
broken
it.
toy spelled the Canadian way on Instagram and TikTok.
Joseph, where can we find you?
Sometimes I'm on Blue Sky, sometimes I'm not, but it's a weird thing.
Fair enough. And then if you want to follow my individual wacky adventure, you can find me at Optimus Gene on Facebook and Instagram. I'm about to post pictures of me fixing the ceiling and running Ethernet through the house. So that all worked out well. Otherwise, it's just me reposting stuff from epicallygeeky.com, where you can find all the shows that we do. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. One last time, man, thank you so much for being on. We do greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for letting
We
me
loved
yap
having you on.
incessantly for 2 hours.
So we could, if these guys weren't falling asleep, we'd probably still keep going. So, but
I'm good. I have caffeine. Let's 2 hours. Let's go.
Yeah,
I remember that next time we'll have to try to do this earlier.
Five
So,
comes quick.
Yeah.
Marathon
All
this
right,
thing.
guys. I almost. How could I have forgotten this?
Thank you,
I keep
everybody in the chat.
forgetting. Oh my god! And I know there's no way I'm gonna go through everyone.
Oh,
Was it
questions from the
Psionic
audience.
Nomad, Joey 2207, Mr. Grizzly Bear, Angelica Gear Crooner, Lads Demon, Farrakhan, Wolfus. Like there's so many people that were in the chat tonight. Joey, thank you so much. Like everyone, I know I didn't read everyone's name, not Bronze Monarchy. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat. Loved having you there. And we do several other shows. We'd love having you in there as well. But yeah, for everyone on the site and everyone in the chat, have a good night. Make sure to check out epicallygeeky.com, where you can find all of the shows that we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, Marginally Geeky Book Club, Creatively Geeky, Sustainably Geeky, EG Live, and EG Gaming. But before you do, make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. And if you're a person with a human-style body, why not head over to our TeePublic store and grab a t-shirt, hat, shorts, or whatever else they sell to cover that body. You can find the link in the show notes. And thanks for supporting us here at Epically Geeky. See you next time.